you're struggling to feel your glutes during a single leg deadlift or a golfer's lift, then this video is for you. This is actually a common problem, and it comes down to poor positioning. Remember, when we are trying to contract or feel a muscle, the muscle first has to be in a lengthened or eccentric position. This gives it the available space and range of motion to then concentrically contract and shorten. The act of having space and then contracting is what's going to get you to feel it and to work the muscle. Now, when it comes to our single leg deadlift and our golfer's lift, what happens is we tend to be in a poor position with the glutes. The glutes are in a shortened position when we go into the motion, and then we try to contract and they're already in a shortened position, so it's really hard to feel it. So first we need to talk about biomechanics of the glutes and then two strategies that we're going to work on so you can be successful and actually feel your glutes during a golfer's lift or a single leg deadlift. So the glutes are on the posterior pelvis, where they primarily are going to externally rotate the pelvis and extend the hip. Now, based off the principles that we just talked about, in order to sufficiently work and feel the glutes, we need to be in an internally rotated position to then be able to move to an externally rotated position and actually feel our glutes. So now we know that we need to find internal rotation. So let's talk biomechanically how we do that, and then talk about what typically happens which creates the problem in the first place. So with a single leg deadlift or a golfer's lift, let's imagine we're working the left side. So the left side's on the ground and the right side is moving through space. What's going to need to happen is as we go down, we need to start to turn the pelvis towards the left. Couple things happen when we do this. First, when we turn towards the left, we are moving into an internally rotated state on this left side. And what happens is we're going to get the eccentric length that we are searching for at the glutes. Now, if I turn the pelvis around, you'll start to see as we turn towards that left side, you can see how this sacrum moves further from the hip. That is representing that eccentric length on that posterior pelvis or the glutes. So that's that eccentric length. That's the wind up that we're looking for then external rotation to occur. So you can see when you achieve internal rotation, it puts you in a position where you can actually then fire the glutes, contract them concentrically back to this position. That's where you're going to really be working the glutes. Now, what tends to happen is that instead of finding that internal rotation like we just talked about, people move down through their hinge position, but instead of IR on the left, they actually rotate their whole body towards the right. So as they go down, they rotate to the right. So what's happening here? Well, it's just the opposite. We're going to get concentric activity. We're not going to get that length that we're looking for. And then when we go to fire and stand up, we don't have the strength because we don't have the length, right? We need the length to then give us the strength. So as we go down, people are rotating. They have concentric activity. They go to press up. They do it, but they're not using it. They're probably using a lot of muscles on the right. So that's the problem with the single leg deadlift or the golfer's lift. So now we understand what we are trying to find, i.e. internal rotation. Now let's talk about two strategies that will help you achieve it. The first thing we are going to use is a foam roller. What the foam roller is going to do is it's going to actually go on the swing leg. So in our example, the right side. And it's going to go on the top of your toe, and then the other part is going to be held with your arm. What this is going to do is it's going to continue to provide hip extension. A lot of times when people do a single leg deadlift or a golfer's lift, they actually stop moving through the hips. And what happens is they get a pseudo sense, a false sense, but in actuality, instead of moving and hinging down, they're actually just rounding through their lumbar spine. What this is going to do is provide a mechanical leverage for you to push with your arm and have the leg continue to go back, and you'll be able to feel that hinge occur, and it will really be a constraint to flexing through your spine. The second strategy is visualizing the pockets, specifically the right side in front of the left. Now, the pockets represent the pelvis. So your right pocket is representing the right side of the pelvis. The left pocket is the left side. Now, as we talked about, we are going to be in a position where we want the right pocket in front of the left. This is going to induce our leftward turn, i.e. our internal rotation. It's going to promote that eccentric length on that left posterior aspect and then external rotation as we push on through. As you saw during our problem, what typically happens is people rotate to the right, and in this scenario and in this circumstance, the right pocket would be back compared to the left. This is indicative of right internal rotation. So the visualization is we want to cue our patients, or if you're performing it yourself, to have and turn that pocket, right? The pockets give a nice language. Instead of thinking of the ASIS or the innominate bones or the pelvis, we just think about the pockets, right? So that right pocket being in front is going to help you to maintain your left IR so that you can feel your glutes and work them. So I hope you found that valuable. Here's a quick recap if you like the shorter version. The main problem that we tend to run in when it comes to our single leg deadlift and or our golfer's lift is position. We tend to be in a bad position, which makes it really hard to fire and feel the glutes. What we talked about is we need to understand that to get the glutes on, we need to move into a lengthened position. That's going to be internal rotation at the pelvis. And then we're going to drive into external rotation so we feel and fire the glutes. We talked about 2 strategies to do so, that being using the foam roller to continue our hip extension and then visualizing and thinking about our pockets. And specifically the right pocket being in front or the side that you are working, turning towards that side. And that's going to help you maintain your internal rotation bias so you can feel and fire your glutes.